So if you're the kind of player that's got a slice, but also a horrific straight pull, here's what could be happening.
Right, so I see this quite a lot. The club path minus 4.4, that's the average. The big number is the average. The little number in the bottom corner there, the 0.4, is like a deviation of that average. So really consistent for a couple of shots here. The average face angle, again, if that was the typical shot all the time, that'd be just a small fade. But the deviation is huge, so 3.1, and that suggests, or you'll usually see that type of thing, pretty consistent club path, bit of a mixed club face with shots that look a bit like that. So pulls left, slices to the right. It can be the same in both directions, but we see this more often. So face angle usually changes more because it's very small, fine movements that can change that. Big movements like club path, where it tends to be the body involved or the arms rather than just hands or wrists, don't change as much. So if you're seeing that, here's a reason why.
So this is quite common. We see this a lot where the club path, let's say in this occasion for right-hander, is across to the left, and that stayed quite consistent because club path is generally created by big motions like turning, chest, arms, and that stays quite consistent because people tend to move a similar way. Now, club face, well, that's controlled with like hands, wrists, forearm rotation and other things. It's more of a minor movement, okay? So we're talking just a few degrees between coming back with a bit of a fade or a safe-ish slice between pulling it miles left. And the difference is just the club face being, the path there was like -4, is the club being -4 here compared to -2, that brings it back to the target, or maybe moves it a bit more left to right. So these minor changes tend to happen because of other issues in the swing. Now, a common one we tend to see is where players, for whatever reason, will get a little bit steep on the downswing. Then to try and shallow that out, they'll go this way. And now the club goes behind you, face gets quite open. So they're still going to probably turn and cut across the golf ball, but now they're doing it with a very open face. So either the face stays open and they hit like a left to right shot or a straight to right shot, or they think, usually reacting to the previous shots or the trouble on the golf course, they'll go the same way. So they might be one of these type of players, open, steepening this way, face now goes open, and it's right, what do I do from here? Do I either let it go right and hit my fade, or do I try and save it by squaring the club face up, which is usually this? Now, when you square it up that late, the timing is so hard to control. Now, don't get fixated on you have to keep the club face like square throughout the swing, because that might just slow you down as well. There's definitely a time and a place for that feel, but the club face throughout the swing is opening in the backswing, closing in the downswing. It has to do that to some extent. Now, where we don't like to see it open and close is like really late on in the swing because of sometimes this reason, where it's a very last minute save, and you'll have occasionally some good days like that where your time is just spot on. You hit some maybe high ones because you're doing this to square the club face up, but you probably get away with it. It's a small fade or a small pull. Bad days where your timing is not as good, that dispersion gets a lot wider. So sort out the club face first if that's the reason why you're getting this mix of shots. It usually is, and things tend to revolve or start with that club face in the backswing and then in transition.